Hi again, I'm Herb Stevens, the Skiing Weatherman, and this is another installment of the Weather Weenies, and you know who you are. This report, this discussion, you'll see on or about December 10th, and by that time a major storm will have ripped from the southwestern mountains of this country with heavy snow in the southern Rockies through the Midwest, shutting down St. Louis and Chicago and Minneapolis, and eventually it'll make its way into Canada and bring cold air into the eastern half of the country. And when that happens, we'll have our first episode this year of lake effect snow. And I want to try and explain to you just how lake effect snow works. Let's consider this is Lake Erie or Lake Ontario because they're really notorious for big dumps. And right now the water temperature in Celsius of this water is about +6. That's about 42 degrees Fahrenheit. When the wind starts to blow across the lakes after you get an Arctic outbreak, and by the way, this week I have fatter pens and they don't work that well either. We've discovered that when you're using a dry board and there's a little snow in the air, the wetness and the dryness don't get along. But we're going to have very strong west to northwest winds blowing across the lakes late this week, and that air is cold. It's coming straight out of northern Canada, and this air is between -16 and -18 degrees Celsius. The key for lake effect snow is getting a difference of at least 13 degrees Celsius between the water and the air above it at about 5,000 feet. That's the key level. This difference is in the range of 22 to 24 degrees Celsius. And when you get something over 20 degrees for that delta, you get extreme instability and the lakes really start to percolate. The wind comes whipping across the lakes, and when it reaches the land, remember it's going across the surface, this water that doesn't have a lot of friction, so it's really moving fast, but when it hits the land, it slows down because you've got buildings and trees and whatnot over here on the land. And what that does is cause the air molecules, and I wish this pen would work, but you get the picture, they build up over the land because the molecules are moving too faster here than they are here, and they start building up. That's when you get a lake effect cloud, and when you have air this cold, you've got the moisture sources that comes across the lake, and places like northeastern Ohio, northwest PA, there are resorts in southwestern New York like Peak and Holiday Valley, Snow Ridge east of Lake Ontario, east of Watertown, New York. They are going to get hammered over the next few days because of the extreme instability in this lake effect outbreak. And you know, the lakes right now are a little warmer than normal because we had such a warm November. So when another Arctic outbreak comes along in about a week, the same thing's going to happen again. Now let's see if the dry eraser works. It sort of works, because I want to tell you what's going on nationwide in addition to this lake effect outbreak. And let's see if I can draw the United States, starting in the west, down to Baja, Texas. There's Florida. Come on, pen. Go up here to New England, through the Great Lakes, and you kind of see the United States there. Now, in the past week, we've had a big trough in the west. That's what caused the storm in the southwest. The storm went up through the Midwest, and it went up into Ontario and Quebec. That storm track is what caused mixed precipitation in the northeast and rain in the mid-Atlantic, because the low pressure system, as it moved this direction, it had counterclockwise circulation and it drew warmer air up the coast from down here in the Gulf of Mexico. Once the storm got up here into Quebec, the westerly and northwesterly winds came rushing in, caused the lake effect in the Great Lakes, and it's causing mountain snow showers, numerous mountain snow showers from New England all the way down to the Carolinas. This Arctic air is going to be great for snowmaking over the upcoming weekend. A big bubble of high pressure will settle in over the weekend and the early part of next week. Winds will be light. Snowmaking will be going on around the clock at a lot of resorts. Don't forget your goggles if you're skiing or riding this weekend. And then next week, I expect this pattern to repeat itself. We'll see a storm form in the southwest. I think this storm is going to be more suppressed to the south because of the cold air that's entrenched to the north. And later next week, we have the prospects for a fairly sizable snowfall in the eastern third of the United States. But overall, going through the next few weeks, the trough will not dominate in the west. We'll see more of a ridge, a trough in the eastern half of the country, and this is where the cold air and the snow is going to be forecast and to hold sway right through the upcoming holidays. So out west, they need some snow north of Interstate 70. They just got a big batch of it south of Interstate 70 in the southern Sierra and southern Rockies. In the east, in the Great Lakes and the southern Appalachians, snowmaking conditions are great. Natural snow is starting to fly, and by the holidays, from coast to coast, with the possible exception of the northern Rockies, snow conditions ought to be just fine. That's it for this week's Weather Weenie from Sunday River, Maine. We'll see you next week.